Thank you. Appreciate everyone sitting through it. Maybe this won't be that bad. Try to keep everybody awake. What I want to do is want to cover, first of all, the live CD, kind of how that's progressed, where we're at now, where we're moving with that. But the real thing we want to talk about is the fishing tool, Lunker. We want to talk about the payloads, what it can do, and when it's going to get released. So I'm going to try to move fast. If I'm going too fast, just tell me. You hear me? Just tell me that I'm moving too fast. All right. So back in 2006, we developed the first Owasp live CD. It was called Lab Rat, and it had most all of the Owasp tools on it: Web Scarab, Web Goat. Didn't really work perfectly, but it was a start, right? It was built on Morphix and Knoppix technology, pretty stable, nothing too fancy. Where it's moving now, if you've noticed, there's a 2008 project, and these guys, Matt especially, is doing really, really good. I mean, they spent a lot of time on it with the graphics, with the tools, and really focusing on application only. Kind of where we were with the Lab Rat, it was a little bit of everything, right? So it had a little bit of RFID in it, it had a little bit of wireless, a little bit of network. Kind of like Backtrack, but you know, Backtrack, it's got so much support and so many people using it, it's really hard to keep up with. So anyway, Matt's doing that. I want to hand that off, and we'll be no longer supporting that, the old version. So what we will be doing is moving to a VMware image with these tools in it, but that's really built for this fishing framework. So it's an environment that as soon as you load it up, if you want to customize it, add tools, you know, bam, there it is. But the thing with that is, right now it's about 4.6 gigs, so it's not not quite as easy to download as the live CDs would be. But I think once I purge some Linux packages and things like that, we'll try to, we should be able to get it around to a couple gigs, hopefully. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at, where the old CD's at. We're moving forward with the new CD. So on the Lunker. So first of all, what this is, it's a spearphishing framework. So you can kind of think of how Metasploit. Metasploit mostly attacks the network. So it uses network as the attack vector. What we're doing is we're using email as the attack vector, or the transport to carry our payloads into the client. Go next here. So when I think about the attacks that we've seen over the past couple of years, we've moved up, right? So way back in the day, say to me, I mean, around the 90s or something like that, internet wasn't around. I mean, if you want to steal some computer stuff, you either break in, you walk out with it, or you dialed up over modems, So as we've gotten, as technology has grown, how I see this is we're moving attacks right up the OSI layer, right? So network, that was the thing for a long time, IIS exploit and the stuff, right at the network. And then we've gotten into the application attacks, right? So then the SQL injections, cross-site scripting. Now that, maybe around 2000 or so, we started seeing the network get a little more secure. So the guys weren't just pulling up Metasploit and just bam, getting in that way. So they actually started to see a little proactivity, started blocking that a little bit. So what I think it's done, is it forced attacks to move up. So, the application, obviously, that's been a big target for the past couple of years. But really what I see now is what I'm calling, the layer 8, the human aspect of it. Because if you break down all these attacks, the most of them require some type of user interaction, right? You have to get them, to click on something or look at this or do this. So you're interacting directly with the user versus so much the application or, the network. So this is what I call the vertically aggressive testing methodology. This is how I like to see a penetration test, or say Tiger Team type test done. Is you start out, with your passive recon, looking on Google, identifying emails, things like that, understanding your client, and then you move up to the more active stuff. So you start poking the network a little bit, seeing what's out there. You identify vulnerabilities in the infrastructure, you exploit them. and that from there down, you know, is the network stuff. So then we start getting into the application stuff where it starts to make the curve. So we do application recon, we identify the inputs, we identify the versions, we come up with a plan or a threat model where the attacks are. And you see at the very top up there is the social engineering stuff. So this is kind of like, you know, moving up from the bottom to the top. So this is how the tool or how this type of spear phishing works. I mean, this is, the thing is, it doesn't require, like, I'm not a programmer. You know, I've got all the books, and I can put some samples together and make a little stuff work. But this, I mean, if you know how to use front page, you can do this. I mean, you pull down PHP mailer from pretty much anywhere, and bam, you're good to go. But anyway, the first step in this is the attacker. Well, this is the passive phase, so this kind of matches up with the other. The attacker first will search the internet and pull down emails, information about the target. Once he understands the emails, you know, those are what's going to be attacked, right? So after the emails are grabbed, he goes out and he starts poking around the site, trying to identify any type of, anything that grabs credentials, right? So the big thing is like OWA, VPN, Citrix, anything you can think of that has a username, login, and password box that clients interact with, and they're common. You know, they use them, they're comfortable using them, they know they're there. It's not just something popped up. So then we know the emails, we know the potential attack vectors here. So maybe we'll just say OWA, or we'll just say webmail. Try to stay away from vendors. So once that's done, what the attacker does is he sets up his own copy of that. And it's as easy as just saving it. So you go to the web page, you save it locally, you put a little PHP or some kind of back end to it that grabs the credentials, and you host it up on your server. Then once that's done, it's tested, the attacker sends out the email to the users. Hey, you know, this is John or Bob from tech support. We upgraded so-and-so over the weekend. If you would, just log in and make sure that your account's working like it should, or something like that. And that's a spear phishing example, but we'll cover other payloads. But basically, you know, what you're trying to do, it's a predefined message, right? So NLP, neuro-linguistic, whatever, how you say that, programming, you want to cause a reaction from the user, and that's how you craft these emails. All right, so you sent the email out to the users. You said, okay, you know, I'm on the road. I got to get my email access, so I need to check in and make sure this works. So, bam, what do? They log in to your attack server you have up somewhere on the internet. I mean, this is the difference, and this is why your blacklisting and your other methods don't really work with this, because this server you put up isn't some server, you know, sitting out there you send a million emails to. It's just something that's been sitting there, you know, you just brought it up, so it just got an IP address. It's not really known by anybody. So anyway, they click on it, it grabs it. The credentials are sent to the attacker, and the attacker logs in to the website. I mean, it's very simple stuff, but this is the one most effective attack I have ever done in penetration testing. I mean, we've done a lot of network exploits, a lot of, you know, different type of stuff, but at the latest, it's probably like an 84% success ratio, and that's just grabbing emails off of Google for a company, and you don't really know how many of those are active and non-active. But you know, if you take, say, Acme Bank, you go out and you grab all the emails. What I've seen is 84% of that where you get valid credentials come back. So doing this the old way, it don't really take a lot of technical skills. All you got to do is find the emails, you find the site to be phished, you create the site, you set up the PHP or whatever mail spoofer. You test it to make sure it works. You don't have misspellings. You know, use proper grammar. Send it out, and then you monitor it. So basically, in the monitoring, you're just sitting there waiting, so you can tell the Apache logs or whatever, or you can run something like TCP dump. Just all you want to do is you want to see that coming in. So this is the new VMware image. This is what the tool is going to look like. I wanted to show this, but obviously it crashed on me, story of my life, and I can't get it to come back up. So we're just going to work off the slides here. So the first step of course, is to log in. This has got a MySQL backend, and we've done some stuff. I wanted to leave it just open, just kind of like WebGoat or something like that. Not let security get in the way of getting this thing done, right? But we had a little talk and decided it is an Owasp deal, so we would put a little bit of security into it. So once you log in, here is where you set up the client information. And the goal behind this is for reporting. I mean, reporting's not real big right now, but later on that is, we want to do like some of the other tools. So you'll be able to go through and map this process out. So at X amount, X time we sent this user, we did this, then this, and I'll be putting a report. But here you put in the client name, you put in any URLs and scope. You enter the email collection method, so it's either a whitelist or a blacklist or a mixture of both. And if there's any IP addresses, put that there. All right, so this is the email recon piece. So if the client don't want to give a whitelist, they don't want to say, hey, check these addresses out. What we do, Mike Menifee, he wrote the email recon piece and the brute force, the brute piece there. But so what the search engine recon does is it goes out and it pulls down to say Google, just like you would. I mean, the easiest thing to do is just do @client.com and see, all the pages that come back. I mean, we would hope that every organization has policies in place that say you don't need to post, any kind of information in forums using your internal email address. But we know nobody follows that. I'm the world's worst. I've got 10,000 at least, from every company I've ever worked at. I posted all over it. So, but you shouldn't be doing it. Anyway, the brute force tool, what we've set that up, or the goal of that to do is a couple different things. First would be to just brute force through a list of names to identify email addresses. We're also working on not only the email addresses, but say once you collect those, if you just had a couple, sample password lists, maybe 2 or 3 times so it wouldn't lock it out, you can run down through there. And if you get in that way, you can go and further enumerate all the other email addresses. But this is really for setting the attack up. I mean, most of the time you'll be working off a whitelist or just a search engine recon tool that'll go out and pull stuff down. And we tried to put some approval stuff in here, just kind of track that along the way as well. All right, so we've logged in, we've set the client up, we've had the email module go out, say it went off Google or something and pulled the emails back, or say we use a whitelist. Either way, at that point we've got our targets loaded up. At this piece, it can pull in either the URLs or the IP addresses in scope. So what it would actually do is go out to the network, kind of like an Nmat would do, or really like maybe a NIC2 or something like that, where we have a big list of what we call portals. Could be, again, webmail, Citrix, VPN, anything like that. Anything we can identify, that's pretty common. This piece will go out, it'll grab that, or look at all that information and say, okay, we found this, this, and this, based on the emails we've identified. It kind of recommends and said, okay, we recommend using the OWA. So what you would do, you would just click on which one you want. And this is what it would look like. The templates will be set up. So just think of it as your web server directory, with a bunch of different subdirectories under that, and these are already set up in there. So when you go in, you set this attack up, that's automatically inserted so it knows where to go. But this is what it would look like. I mean, this is just save as, pull it right off. I mean, it's beautiful because it doesn't break. Sometimes, some of the older versions you have to go in and, cut stuff out and make it work, but all you do is save as. So anyway, it would look just like what the clients are used to seeing. And if they've got something, again, if they went in and they put say they customized this, and it had logos and stuff, company name here, that doesn't matter. Again, save as, it pulls it down exactly what they've done. The user's already used to it. So all you do is you tie in the back end piece that actually collects the data, and you test that it works. So this shows just a test, and of course the actual user wouldn't see this part. What we normally do, or something I found out that really works well, is a little bit of redirection. You log into it. If you keep them, if you just, after you send those credentials and it mails it off or keeps it local, if you send it back to that site again, the user is going to think, I better enter those credentials again. I didn't get logged in. I've seen them do it 5 or 6 times in a row, and they just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. So what the tool does is it redirects them to their real website. So when they go back in the next time they want to log in, it actually logs in, so it don't cause any suspicion. But sometimes what we're really trying to do when we're testing any kind of social engineering or this type of attack is we want to see them follow your incident response guidelines and policies in place. They should know that you never should get an email from technical support, hey, log in, we've updated this. That shouldn't be happening. But it don't slow anybody down. All right, so it's logged in, it's captured locally. It's encrypted. Get email, get attachment. Anyway, so that was the redirect confusion. So you can send them to Google, or I prefer just sending it back to their real home page and have them log in. All right, so here's the spoofed email piece. Very, very simple. You can import the list, the body. You can write your own, or you can select from scenarios. So the tool has several scenarios built in, like a third-party technical company, just different stuff that I've known to work. Of course, it needs to be tweaked a little here and there, but it's just a couple, 2 or 3 scenarios that are pretty common. Milgram experiment. That's pretty good. In researching this kind of stuff, it's more about authority. The footer. All right. So the footer piece. If you select a scenario, it'll have the footer in it. But if you wanted just to write your own custom message, we've got a couple drop downs. One thing that makes this real easy, as we all know, sales usually answers any email you send, and HR, right? So if you're starting engagement and you really want to get realistic, you can send out an email to HR or to sales. They'll come back and you'll maybe see the company logo and you get that format, right? So that adds a lot of validity and trust to these type of attacks. So you can import that in here as well. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to, just put something in there, there's a couple little different things, Could be a fake magazine, it could be a survey, it could be something like that. And the scenarios, again, this is stuff that I've seen that works really well. Third-party technical company. It's really easy to call up and say, hey, I'm Tom or I'm Bill from so-and-so magazine, and we're just doing a little survey. Who do you guys use for your tech? Who's your tech company? What kind of products do you use? Appreciate it, Tom. The auditor works as well. I didn't get any trouble doing it, but I had this idea about going out and saying, when I did a little bank work, saying that I was the FFIEC auditor. Made this nice badge up, Joshua Perryman, Chief Inspector. It was all BS. But I didn't think, and I talked about it in this press release. Oh, I pissed some people off. I had so many people come back saying, you can't do that, and you can't do this. You can't say you're FFIEC. And I was like, well, what are the bad guys going to do? The bad guys aren't going to play by the rules. But anyway, I took that out of here. So that won't actually be in the real version. Let's see. Stealth options. Obviously, I don't want to release this thing turnkey out in the wild and just have it go. So I'm going to add, there's things we add into the email. So it would be picked up, hopefully it would break. Even Outlook spam would pick it up just because it's that broken. We also want to add some stuff in there, to, some tags to let it know where it came from. Kind of like, most application scanning tools like Grendel scans, things like that. If you look in the header, it says tool name. So we want to do the same thing with this. But there's some options there. We can add some custom stuff to the email headers. This is the cool part. This is what makes the tool cool. After DEF CON, I decided that I want to kind of put this thing together. For years, I've got a couple of these little ideas, and before I moved to Australia, I had the great idea of thinking, hey, I'm going to make billions. I'm going to have all these great commercial products, and I'm going to do this, but the damn things never got done. They've sat there and sat there and sat there, and I didn't talk about them because I want to make money off of them. So I've kind of changed that around now. What I wanted to do is release this because I just feel that organizations need to have the ability to test themselves for this. Most pen testing firms are not doing it. I mean, there's one commercial company that does it, and I think they're okay. But you really don't have anything custom like a penetration tester would use that you can add different stuff to. Anyway, so here's the cool part about this thing. Again, we talked about email being the transport or the attack vector. That's how we get the attacks into the network, right? Same thing as Metasploit. Metasploit uses the network to get the payloads. We use email to get the payloads in there. So here are the payloads. Spearphishing obviously is the #1 use for this tool, but that's not the only thing it can be used for. What if we added browser exploits, or cross-site scripting, or cross-site request forgery, or recon? We can do recon if you didn't know IP addresses, but you knew email. You can look at the read receipts, you can look at the headers, you can get, you then know where that's from. So this is something, anytime I do a hack and they're like, oh, we're not going to give you our IP addresses, we're not going to give you anything, we'll just tell you our company name. It's a great way. Send an email. Look at the email they sent you. It's going to show, it's going to show information in there that'll let you know where they're at. Anyway, so you can add browser exploits. You can do cross-site scripting. Another one of my favorites is downloading an executable tool. Say you want to build your own installer. Well, sure, great. Brand it up, make it look nice, just like the company. Hey, click the new update. But what you do is you can have those run in action, right? So you have Netcat outbound or something like that, or you can install something on there. But that kind of stuff can be loaded as a payload. But the majority of stuff is going to be the spearphishing. Yeah, so I missed this point. So this obviously, again, I want to focus on the part that I am not a developer. I know a little bit of web design, so this is my attempt at the hack, what I call the hack 2.0 tool, right? It looks neat, it's easy to use, it's a little different look and feel than your normal tool. All right, test environment. So we've logged in, we set the client up, we've done the email recon, or entered the emails, we've selected what bait or what, the phishing site we're going to put up. All that's done. Now is the time that we actually test this. So this is how I think it needs to be released, really. A local mode, right? So the Lunker PHP mailer, it would have maybe a hard-coded email address or something like that in there. And it would send it locally, so your local mail server. So that's sent and it's stored locally. So in the test mode, the user would come in and say launch something like Thunderbird or an email client that we're going to set up so they can actually see the attacks come in. So you set it up in the tool, you send it out, in real time, bam, you see it come into your little email client there. So you can see how this stuff works. But that's what the test environment's for, right? So you test sending that because usually one misspelled word or something, the address, it don't have to be real detailed, but you really want to make sure and test this before you send it out, because if they start second thinking it, that might be the time when they say, oh, I'm not going to log in. But the most effective attacks are obviously the ones that are really well edited. Local mode. All right. So start the audit. After everything's sent out, there's a like a status screen, right? So we want to know Apache's up, MySQL's up, the mail server's working. Yes, we verified the target list, the phishing site's going, spoofed email verification, everything's good to go. So this just kind of lets us know where we're at. So when we get ready to submit the attack, you want to make sure all this stuff's up and running. So once that's done, you just click on it. It gets sent out. So then there's a couple options for that as well. You can send them all at once, but what I found usually works best is to send a couple different groups out. So, but at the same time, you don't want to stretch it out too far sometimes, because if the first people see it and they pick up on it, start calling tech support, it'll affect the other users. So, I mean, it just really depends on your environment, I guess, how you want to send it out, but there's options in that. So once it's done, you just kind of sit there and wait. And the tool's got some monitoring options and timers, things that you won't see like in commercial versions. What we like to do is, once it's clicked out, we want to know, okay, when, say the attack was sent at 12 o'clock. So when we know that, we know we can start timing how long it takes for other users to come in. And if they come in twice, some certain things like that we want to trigger alarms on. Okay. So the login options. Once it's sitting there waiting, start getting emails to come in to our phishing site. There's a couple things we can do. We can just capture them. We can capture and log in, or the real cool part is like a capture login scrape. We'll talk about that in a second. So what's next? It's another thing I want to release. Tokens. Not mentioning any names, but a lot of companies use these now. I mean, if you went to DEF CON, Black Hat, they were giving them out. A lot of companies use these little tokens, and they think it's going to be really secure, right? It's not. All this does is it minimizes your attack window for phishing attacks. It takes it down from, maybe, say, 20 minutes to 60 seconds, 30 seconds. But that's a cool thing that this tool will do. Back to the analysis piece. If you're getting email passwords, I mean, probably not anybody in here has got all numeric passwords. I mean, probably everybody's got a little mixture of both, maybe upper, lowercase, this and that. But what the tool can do, if it sees that numeric passwords are coming in, it can kind of say, hey, wait a second, that's probably a token. So it'll take the normal mode of just capturing it, and it'll add another back-end piece to it. So what it does when you log in, so what you do is the attacker will send the email to the user. Hey, Tom, log in. Check your email or this and that. So Tom goes and he logs in to the attack server, puts in his PIN, puts in the token information, hits enter. When he does that, that's automatically sent to the attacker and automatically starts logging into the real site. So once it knows it's in token mode, it just sits there and it waits. Okay, bang. We notice the token, go into two-factor mode, and while the good guy is logging in to what he thinks is the real site, the bad guy is automatically logging into the bad site. It happens in real time. So that's my thought on tokens. I mean, they're good, but it really just minimizes the attack window. They're not the answer for this type of stuff. So anyway, what's next? Man-in-the-middle stuff for two-factor authentication, some advanced payloads. Most of the payload stuff's in there, but as new attacks come on, I want to make that modular. I think reporting would be cool. Forum support, maybe template sharing, training modules. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to see this thing go out like, the Rockfish or whatever the other tools are in Russia, and everybody just picks up on it, bang. Now, it used to be real hard to use, application exploits to find SQL injections, but, when you can just automate this and send it out, it's almost too easy. So, still working on how we're going to release this thing. Email brute forcing. Mike is working on this. I think it's pretty cool to be able, especially if you just get one account, to be able to go through and enumerate the entire OWA or Novell to get all your email addresses. I think we've done this manually. You know, it could be anywhere from 100, it could be anywhere to 500,000 emails. Who knows? All right, so here's where I'm at right now. My plan was to come, you know, burn up a really cool DVDs, release it on VMware. The vice president of the Alabama chapter, he called me freaking out when I was out of town last week. He goes, dude, look, we've just sent this thing off. I sent 25 users, 25 user tests internally. Use the footer, just use the tool. He got 25 out of 25 back. And he was freaking out. It's like, no, hell no, we can't release this. No, can't do it. So what I'm trying to do is figure out a responsible way. Maybe the Owasp piece of this would be like the training stuff. So you can see, you can use it as a training tool. So you add this in your security awareness training. You show users how this type of stuff works. So you do that locally. It's on a VMware image. You know, you're good to go. You don't send stuff out. But obviously, I mean, there is a need for this to be included for internal security teams to test as well. So we're working on that. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, how the licensing is going to work, but I just know I would feel better not just putting it out there in the public. I mean, I had a pretty interesting conversation in the steakhouse last night about this. And of course, all my buddies, yeah, just release it. Everybody needs this thing. Yeah, it's cool. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm the one that would be responsible. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that. It will be released in some form, fit, way, or fashion. If you want a copy of it, or just shoot me an email. So, special thanks. I want to thank Mike Menifee, my buddy Ty Miller down at Pure Hacking. We set up a couple late nights when we're doing the two-factor stuff because we told it couldn't be done, so we had to sit there and watch it in real time, so we didn't sleep much at all. But anyway, and Brad Causey, he's the vice president of the Birmingham chapter, and he's doing a lot of the coding on this as well. Because again, I know graphics. That's it. So that's about it. I guess I will see you guys in Portugal, and look to have a more workable demo of this thing going. Appreciate it. All right, questions? Yes. The question was, would the attacker be there in real time if you're doing the token stuff? Correct. Because you can't miss that window. Again, it's a 30-second window, so literally you have to see it. As they come in, you don't want any latency, anything. You want to see that real time. As soon as it comes up, the tool or manually has to go out and log into the real side. That will be automated. Yeah. Before, it's been a manual process, so that the tool does automate that piece. So you wouldn't have to. It would actually go out. But I would still want to sit there and watch it, you know. But, yeah, it would be automated.
You have to register a domain name similar. I mean, so will the user see the URL potentially pick up on the fact that it's not the URL they're accustomed to seeing, the domain? Or is that not that transparent in this particular case?
Normally what we've always done is just a link in email. You know, just say, hey, click this link, and then the underlying link is the IP address, and then directories, and then the start page.
So the start page itself is not within a browser session, but it's displayed URL, is what you're saying?
Right.
Which is a pop.
Ask that again.
Well, I mean, most of the time the authentication is going to be in some domain name. I would always verify that I'm at the domain I
right.
be at. In this case, how do you bypass that?
You don't. You send it to them in their URL. It's got IP address, so it just shows. It don't show the actual domain. It's got IP address, or you can maybe add a folder of their company name or something just to show that in that. But no, it's going to start out with the IP address.
So 25. I must be missing something. So 25 out of 25 people fell for that, where they actually displayed an IP they're not accustomed to seeing. They normally see.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was internal as well. So that was a little different because it's on their internal network. It's one of those things where, hey, how that really works really easy is say, all right, guys, we just added this. new functionality, log in, and it showed like, a new portal or something like inside the network.
One final question. Have you considered, is there any way you can actually pass the credentials legitimately to the page so that they actually authenticate in, or is that just too risky because then you're exposing your location to the company that you're trying to fish? See what I'm saying? Like where
Right.
they would actually get into a legitimate session based upon the credentials they've entered. Is that not?
Yeah, and that's something that the tool, like the scraping piece of the tool, kind of same thing with the tokens, right? Because hopefully we're doing this through a scoped penetration test, right? But you're right that through the headers and everything that comes through, we want the company to see where that came from, So I don't know. Just like a lot of stuff, I'm sure, guys, when you do this kind of stuff, you're going to see it work, So when I do it, I really, really want it to be realistic, and I'm looking for accuracy and things like that. But sometimes I got to make myself think, oh, well, look, John, so really the whole goal is to give them a pick up on it, Anybody else? All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.